I can't tell you guys enough how annoying the operator can be, especially when playing against one on the enemy team. Sometimes it can feel like you're completely shut out of the game. You're scared to peek corners, and your team's setups are in constant disarray. So, in order to flip that narrative today, let's learn how to AWP. What's going on, Pro Guides family? It's your host, Sergeant Frost, and today we're going to cover how to master the operator. We'll talk about some things to avoid and some things to add into your gameplay when you're wielding this beast of a weapon, so that we can make sure you're confidently able to create high-impact plays in your games. It can be a daunting challenge to tackle if you're not used to the sniper gameplay, but it's still well worth it to learn, even if it's just to be ready if the situation arises. And even if you don't end up using the AWP, it's still valuable to learn how to get in the mind of an AWPer so that you can more easily deal with enemy snipers. And if you want to get a better idea of how to practice AWPing or learn any other aspect of Valorant, come check out our website ProGuides.com, where our Radiant and Immortal level coaches are more than happy to suit your needs. On top of that, we've recently partnered with pro players like TenZ, who is one of the deadliest AWPers in the world. He released a course that details his mindset towards the game and how to master the fundamentals. Now, let's jump right into this video. The nerfs that hit the operator a while back were definitely substantial, but I do think they might have been slept on a tad bit, especially in ranked. For a weapon so expensive, it can easily feel like it's not worth purchasing most of the time. At a crazy cost of 5,000 credits, unless you're already a beast at it, it can feel like you just end up dying with it and now you're broke forever. However, we all start somewhere, and the operator most definitely isn't the most natural gun for everyone. We'll talk about what agents best pair with this sniper, but first we gotta take a dive into what makes this weapon so great to begin with. Obviously, you could throw away money, but if you know what to look out for though, the high price tag attached to it won't feel like that way anymore. The main goal here today is to give you guys tools where you rely less on aim and more on your decision making. I still suggest warming up the operator in the range and still even playing some unrated with it to get comfortable. But the operator often relies more on smart positioning rather than insane flicks or headshots. It's not easy to challenge an operator without backup from abilities or teammates. The two key factors that make the operator such a threat are its long-range capabilities and its one shot to the stomach and chest area. Being able to play at any range and all you need to do is shoot center mass for a kill on any target is something no other weapon is capable of. If you're able to use range to your advantage and make sure you hit your shot, players will have to use extra utility or fight at a serious disadvantage. The increased magnification lets you identify enemies easier at range, and with more of the enemy's hitbox in frame of you. It isn't much of a contest on why this weapon can be a true menace in the right hands. One of the main weaknesses of the AWP is that it's much harder to use in hectic situations, so there are limited options for angles. As such, using the operator on an agent that has good mobility is crucial for success. It can still be done without a mobility agent, but with less options, you have less room to express your skill and catch opponents off guard. I'd recommend to anyone who's interested in becoming a sniper today to play these agents I'm about to list out. The 5 best operator agents that come into mind, ranking them from best to good with the operator, is as follows: Jett, Raze, Yoru, Reyna, and Omen. If you're not playing one of these agents while AWPing, the enemy has a much easier time punishing you if you miss or play an open angle. Let's first talk about Jett, who has by far the best synergy with the operator. Her dash being free and instantaneous allows you to both hold angles and push with the operator in ways that other agents could never fathom doing. If you dash out when you take your shot, you'll oftentimes stay alive where other agents would likely be immediately punished. Her updraft allows her to play on vertical terrain, and her ultimate is a great tool to ease her economy in order to make the operator a better purchase. Instead of buying save round weapons, you can often pop your ultimate, which would give you similar power without needing to spend credits. Next up is Raze. Raze is a lot like Jett, but her dash isn't as easy to pull off and requires momentum before satchel jumping. This means that you won't be able to peek out in the middle of nowhere and still live, but the satchels do act as a dash if necessary. She can also use them to play vertically, which is a big factor for finding strong off angles. Another thing that helps Raze greatly is that she is an agent that has damage utility as well, which means she has the ability to force people out of position for her to AWP. For example, throwing a nade at a corner where an enemy is can force him out into your operator's line of sight. The AWP is not good at pushing angles or forcing fights, so having this option is a great upside for Raze. However, mobility is key, so agents with mollies like Phoenix and Viper are not really viable despite them having the same ability to force people out. Yoru lacks the ability to change up the angles vertically, but you can throw his teleport in a safe position and play similarly to Jett, where you take a shot and then teleport back. Be careful, however, as there is still a small cast animation for the teleport, so people can potentially punish you in that window, so you cannot be as aggressive as a Jett would. Another thing to note is that his footsteps are actually great for potentially baiting people to peek a corner, so there is some value in his decoy for AWPing. Anyways, are you noticing a trend here with mobility? Reyna is also an agent that has mobility in a sense. However, her issue is that she can't play vertically and she needs to secure a kill to use her movement ability. This means agents like Jett, Yoru, and Raze can all miss a shot and still find ways to get out. Reyna can't, but when she does find the kill, her dismiss can be a game changer. Finally, although Omen has mobility and can play vertically, setting up smokes can put you at a bad timing with the AWP, and his teleport has a windup which is quite slow. He's still great, but definitely the weaker of the 5. Although again, these are all great agents for using the operator. Mobility is a big factor in what makes AWPing harder to punish, and any agent that can do so benefits directly in that aspect. Before we continue, we have to have our question of the day. Today's question is, what do you guys think about the current state of the operator at the moment? Have the nerfs from last year been too harsh? Personally, I think much of the reason why the operator is still viable at the moment is because ranked games are very uncoordinated. So, in turn, no one knows how to play around the operator. However, the operator is still currently at a spot that I think should see a few tweaks to make it more viable on offense. Also, the combination of Jett and the AWP is almost too good, so maybe a tweak with how they function together would help balance the operator more. But let us know what you guys think. We're curious on where you guys stand on this discussion. So we talked about why the operator is still great, even with its previous nerfs, and why agents can utilize it to its full potential. Now let's talk about one of the core fundamentals of AWPing, particularly on the defensive side, as this is when you'll primarily be using it. Of course you can AWP on the attacker side, but it's harder to do so keep that in mind. On the defending side, the spawn barriers are typically designed where you will have the first dibs on an angle. That means you can hold from there, or simply moving up will give you that same timing advantage. That often means you should be actively trying to hold down these angles around spawn barriers because it will be favorable for you. Yes, it can be punished like anything in the game, but holding these down will give you an opportunity to get a pick even before the enemy can get onto site. Let's look at the map Split, for example. Instead of off spawn holding down from screens, holding down the angle at A ramp can give you an opportunity to take a shot and still live. This can give you and your team precious early info as well as give you an opportunity for a kill. If you pay attention to this spawn barrier concept throughout the map, you'll start recognizing this pattern's existence. Let's say that you've already shown that you have just held A ramp with the operator off spawn. Maybe next round you hold the market angle from vents as a guess. This will usually work if they are a little scared to peek into your operator, which is usually a result of putting adequate pressure as an AWPer. If you're able to lock down an area with the operator, you can start shifting this focus around the rest of the map. The key is to be asking yourself where you think they will go. Matching where they might go and having an initial shot at breaking their setup is very important for dishing out huge pressure. I see too many players stay in the same area on defense all half, and if something goes wrong on the other part of the map, you'll likely have to play retake with the operator, which is not a very good position to be in. We all know how that usually goes, so you'll want to stay quick on your feet and make some educated guesses on where the enemy might go. So maybe you rotate early if you hold aggressively and you see nothing. Being unpredictable as an AWPer is one of your greatest strengths when done properly. Now that we talked about how to hold angles a little bit more aggressively and how to put pressure on the map as an AWPer, the next step we have to mention is focused on the kill. However, this is a more common mistake that people make when they find themselves in strong positions. The mistake in question is when you're holding an angle with the operator too tightly, which can make the shot harder for you to land and easier to misfire off of bait peaks. Imagine you're holding Haven C long with the operator on the defending side. If your crosshair is too tight, you may get swung on and have to flick to match the movement. The shot is much more difficult and you'll no longer have that advantage you once had. On the flip side, let's say you've been holding too wide. They might just peek normally and now you'll have to flick just to adjust to this. Holding in the middle of these two extremes will allow minimal adjustment if they have swung wide or shallow. It also lets you know not to shoot at bait peaks that can help. If someone is jiggling the angle and you're holding tight, you might try to wallbang them and this can give them the opportunity to swing off that missed shot. It's okay if you want to try and do this, as it can work if you can time the shot well based on the rhythm of their jiggles. However, understand that it can be punished easily and you'll be playing into the bait if you fall for it. Now that we have some aggressive concepts out of the way, we want to consider ways to passively hold angles. To have the best chance of catching the enemy off guard passively, you want to use off angles. One such way to create this advantage is if you can utilize elevation to your advantage. There are so many spots that open up when vertical positions are open to play, but let's look at Haven as an easy example. To hold C long a little less aggressively, you can get on top of that default, which can be a great spot. Playing up top on B site while holding the window aggressively, or playing an off angle for players peeking from grass can work well too. On A site, you can get on top of this box and hold from short here. Keep in mind you're open from behind, so this is a great position to set up in after you've held from A long to spot for any info. Maybe if you see a smoke at A main or if someone crosses, you can quickly updraft, teleport, or satchel out of here and now hold from short for a bit. It may seem like a small change, but adding in the verticality makes you a much harder target to hit and it gives you the great element of surprise. You should be trying to play vertically if your agent allows it as a mix-up, regardless if you're AWPing or not. But the operator does suit high ground very well. You have great angles on enemies and you don't need to hit the head, so the angles aren't as severe towards your aim. There are many positions where elevation can absolutely blindside enemies, so definitely test them out as you see fit. We know being an AWPer isn't everyone's goal as a player, but regardless, we want you guys to be comfortable with one if necessary. Also, learning how to use the operator is a great way to understand how to play against it. While the operator may receive nerfs or buffs that will change its position in the meta, it seems like that in the long term, the operator will always be something to factor in. That's all we have for today's video. And if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can keep up to date with the latest Valorant news, updates, and guides. It's been your host, Sergeant Frost, and good luck on the grind, Pro Gods family.